my beautiful people. Yeah, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Thank you for being here. God bless you all, and I hope you are all doing great too. So today I want to address the issue of making bustier for people with big busts. Okay, for people who are busty. Okay, so this is actually a request from one of my subscribers, and then she gave me measurements to use, so we'll be applying those measurements today. So when we talk about being busty, it is not really about the bust or the bust measurement, the huge figure you get when you measure the bust. Some people might be big, fat, and when you measure their bust, it might be measuring big. Okay, you might be having huge figure, and still that would balance or rhyme with their body. Why some people would have very slim body and their bust measurement to be measuring large also. So when we talk about being busty, it is actually about the difference between the bust circumference and the under bust circumference. Okay, so that is what we would be addressing today. Actually, on this channel I have given tutorials on how to draft bustiers, different types of bustiers, but most times we use average measurements and standard formulas. Okay, now you might have measurements that are way above average, and these standard formulas might not go too well sometimes with people who are very busty. Okay, and that is where that manipulation comes in. Okay, so you can see in sewing we use a lot of tricks, we use a lot of strategies, a lot of hacks to achieve what we want to achieve. Yes, so you don't depend just on one formula or on one strategy. You have to apply different strategies, and that is where experience comes in. Okay, so it is actually good to be experienced, to practice a lot of different things, and you can't know all just from one lesson. No, you have to learn from different sources. You have to try out different things. Okay, so I would be addressing this issue today on how you can create a nice and proper bustier for someone who is very busty. Okay, like I said, it is not really about the bust measurement. It is the difference between the bust circumference and the under bust circumference. When the difference is very huge, okay, that is where you say someone is busty. Okay, sometimes you see people wearing blouses or tops, and you see the breasts hanging on, and just hanging up here, and you think this is how they want it. Actually, it is not everybody that wants it that way. Sometimes it is the person that made the dress. Okay, the person didn't create enough room to accommodate the bust. So today I'll be showing you how to do that. Okay, so we'll be using that manipulation. So that manipulation is not all about closing one dart to create another. For example, closing the shoulder dart to create the bust dart. There are a lot of things you can do with that manipulation. So we'll be addressing that today. I'll be making a princess dart bustier, but I'll be explaining to you how you can also use that in other types of bustier. So if you're new to this channel, please do well, hit on the subscribe button below so that you'll be part of this wonderful family, and also turn on the notification bell beside it so that whenever I upload a new video, you'll be among those that will be notified. So I am Vivian, in case you see me for the first time. So without wasting so much time, we'll be moving straight to the working table. And before we do that, if you are not yet subscribed, I'm repeating it, I'm also begging you, please hit on the subscribe button. I love you all. You, my subscribers, are just too much. You are just why I am here. Okay, so to encourage me to do more, subscribe, hit on the bell notification so that you'll be notified of all the upcoming videos. I upload videos on this channel on sewing tutorials, DIYs, and I have a lot more coming up, which I know you would not want to miss out. Okay, And at the end, if you love this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also share it with your friends. Okay, so we'll be moving straight to the table to manipulate our darts to be able to create a bust cup to accommodate the bust of our friends out there who are well endowed. Yes, it's actually a blessing. Okay, so let's do that. All right, so we're about to draft, and like I said, this is a request from a subscriber. So instead of just answering her directly, I decided to make the video so that everybody can benefit from this. Okay, so now I have placed my paper on fold, just like the way you place your fabric on fold. So I folded my paper based on the biggest measurement. So I will leave the measurement on the screen. Okay, so this is the measurement that was sent to me. So the biggest measurement is the bust, because the pattern will just get to the waist. Okay, so the bust circumference divided by 4 plus 5 inches. That is what I have placed here. So you can take from 5 to 6 inches depending on the allowance you want to add. So I took 5 inches because we'll be having that. We'll be cutting out about 3 inches that. Then we'll have seam allowance also. So that is why I have folded the paper on 15 inches. Okay, and I just decided to fold the paper just to show you the final that is to show you what the outcome will be by the time we are done drafting. Okay, so ordinarily I'm not supposed to place the paper on fold. Since it is paper, we are not sewing paper, but I just want to do it just the way it will be on the fabric. Okay, so after placing your paper on fold, you have to create a space at the top here. Okay, I always advise you do that for your shoulder seam allowance. You know you'll be joining the back and the front at the shoulder, so you need it. You need the allowance in order not to shorten your armhole and your neckline. So you place about 1 inch. Guys, you just mark about 1 inch at the top of either your fabric or your paper, and you mark it out for your shoulder seam allowance. Okay, so from this point now, you can start placing your vertical measurement. So I'll be drafting a princess dart bustier, and what I'll be showing you here can be used for other type of bustiers, be it off shoulder princess dart, be it tube top and all that. Okay, so the idea of bustier came from our bra cups. So ordinarily in the past, we make our blouses, our dresses without bustiers. We just create the waist dart. But the idea of bustier came about, how we want to put on our blouses, our dresses sometimes without bra. So we need that lift. Okay, so that is why we started making bustiers, and the idea came from our busts, that is our bra cups. Okay, so to give our blouses a nice shape that would give the bust a lift, and at the same time, you'll be able to put on the blouse without a bra, and that is why we usually pad our bustiers. Okay, so I have drafted this just like you can see on the screen. Okay, and I decided to also place it down, that is write it down for easy understanding. So you can see what we have here. To get our cup size, either for our bra or our bustier dresses, our bustier tops, you need to know the cup size. Okay, that's what we're dealing with today. So like the complaint I got is, by the time they place the measurements, like in the previous videos where we had the formula for placing our dart, that by the time they join, it didn't match up and all that, and that is because of the bust size. So that is why I said we'll be manipulating the dart, okay, to be able to create a cup that would fit the big bust. Now, looking at this, we have the bust measurement minus the band measurement equals the cup size. Okay, so to get your cup size, you have to find the difference between your bust measurement and your band measurement. So the bust measurement is the same thing as your bust circumference, and the band measurement is the same as your under bust circumference. Okay, so that equals your cup size. So now we have the differences in inches. That is the difference between the bust circumference and the under bust circumference in inches. When your difference is 1 inch, that is, by the time you subtract your under bust from your bust circumference and you get 1 inch, you are A cup size. 2 inches, B cup size. 3 inches, C cup size. 4 inches, D cup size. Now, notice this. From 5 inches, we have double D. So when the difference is 5 inches, we have DD cup size. 6 inches, DDD cup size. 7 inches, DDDD cup size. So sometimes they use E, F, G, H, and so on. But what I want you to notice here is this. From 1 to 4 is the average cup size. Okay? While from 5 upwards is, that is from 5 above, is above average. So you can see what I'm saying here. So when you have, you can see even from the DD and all that, this is above average. So when you're drafting the bustier for people that are above average, there is how we will go about that. The standard formula might not go well. Okay, so that is why you have to manipulate that, and that is what we would do right now. So I'll go ahead to place the vertical measurement. So like I said, the measurements was sent to me and you have it on the screen. So from this starting point, I'll place the bust point, and the bust point is 11 inches. So I'll mark 11 inches, and the under bust is 15.5, and the waist is 18. So now note this, when you're drafting a bustier, please always add allowance at the lower part, because I'm saying this from experience, okay? But most times when I draft, it matches up by the time I sew. That is just because I've experienced and I know what to do. Okay, I'm experienced in this. But if you are not so experienced in this, always add allowance at the lower part. The reason is, by the time you join, if it doesn't match up, after joining, what you will do, you take your actual measurement, then you trim out the excess. So it is better to have excess than to have shortage. Okay, so because by the time you join, if it doesn't match out, you'll now be looking for how to complete the short part, the one that is shorter. But by the time you have excess allowance, after joining, you will now measure what you are supposed to get, the actual length of your top, then you trim out the excess. In that case, everything will align. But if you take your measurement very well and you draft properly, or following what I'm showing you, you always have it matching up. Okay, so just for the purpose of this tutorial, I will add extra. Like I said, the waist is 18 inches. That is the waist point. So to be on the safe side, when you're cutting your fabric, add like 2 inches extra. Okay, so I'll just mark at 20. Now I want to draw lines, so I'll just repeat these points to enable me draw line. So the bust point 11, the under bust point 15.5, then I set the waist and the extra allowance 20. So I'll just draw my lines. So I have my line here. This is the bust point, this is the under bust, and this is the waist and the extra allowance. So if you finish joining and you measure, you just trim out the excess, and also make sure you also leave allowance. Since it's at the waist, you might be adding peplon or something to it, so you leave allowance for that. So now I would place my shoulder measurement. That is the shoulder measurement, and the shoulder measurement here is 18 inches. Okay, so divide by 2, that is 9 inches. So if you will be adding sleeve, remember to add ½ inch for joining your sleeve. So I'll just mark at 9.5. okay, 9 inches for the shoulder, then the ½ inch for joining the sleeve. So I'll mark at 9.5. okay, so having done this, let me just place neck line. Okay, so let's say 4 inches for the width and 5 inches for the depth. Okay, then I would connect. So this is just the neckline. You can create any neckline of your choice. So having done this now, from this shoulder points, we always create our shoulder slant. That is, we have to step down because the shoulder is not straight. You have to create your shoulder slope. Okay, so you come down by 1 inch, then you connect it to the neck width. So you connect to the neck width like so. Okay, you have it there. So now we'll place the armhole depth. So in the easiest way to get your armhole depth is your shoulder measurement divided by 2. Okay, so exactly what you have here, that is minus ½ inch. You can actually add a ½ inch for ease, but the neck, that is the armhole depth, is just your shoulder measurement divided by 2. Okay, we have another formula for deriving that, but this is just the simplest. So the 9 inches is the armhole depth. Okay, so the armhole depth is 9 inches. So the simplest way, like I said, is just the shoulder measurement divided by 2 will give you the armhole depth, and this is it. So I'll just extend this one, and this is the chest line or the upper bust line. Okay, so having done this now, we will create our armhole curve. So you just mark the midpoint of this line. So a lot of us already know this, but before creating the dart or showing you what to do to the dart, we still have to start all over again doing this. Okay, so the midpoint is 4.5. Then you come in by either ½ inch, 1 inch, or 0.7, depending on how you want it. So to eliminate bulginess or having so much fabric at the armhole area or armpit area, we come in. Then I'm using 0.7 here. Okay, so you connect it up like so. So having done this now, we'll create the armhole curve. But before that, you have to place your bust circumference on this line. So the bust circumference here is 44. Divide by 4. That is 11 inches. Okay, so you always add ½ inch for ease at the armhole area. So that is 11.5. Okay, so I'll mark it. So after marking it now, I'll then place my curve and connect it to this point like so. Okay, so have it here. So now we have created our armhole curve. It's time to place our dart. So to place our dart, we need to place the bust span. So here the bust span is 4.5. That's from one nipple to the other is 9. That nipple to nipple is 9 inches. So half of it is 4.5. Okay, so remember, we'll be cutting out the dart and joining later on. That is, you cut out that and join. So you need ½ inch for that joining. So you have to add ½ inch to the bust span. So like I said, the bust span is 4.5. So plus ½ inch, that is 5. Okay, so we'll mark 5 inches at the that is at the bust point, the under bust point, all the way down to wherever the blouse is getting to. Okay, so you mark your bust span and you connect. So just connect. So we have done this now. So I would just place this one. I'll also come to this side and also mark. So I want us to take it along so that you see how we'll create the curve. So what you do here now, measure your armhole curve, not the armhole depth line, but the armhole curve. So you just measure it. So you measure it, whatever you have, find the midpoint. So 10.5 is the length of the curve. So this is the midpoint. So you now mark out the midpoint. So you mark it out. So this is it here. Okay, let me take it again. So this is it. So you place it and you mark it out. So this is the midpoint. Okay, so by the time you have marked the midpoint, also connect it to the bust line like so. So just connect it and we'll have it like this. So now it is time to manipulate. So like I said in my previous tutorial, when you're drafting your bustier, at this Okay, what you will do first of all to get your cup size, like I have explained earlier, is the difference between your bust circumference and your under bust circumference. Now we are dealing with someone that is very busty, and the difference between her bust circumference and the under bust circumference is 10 inches, way above average. So you can see 7D. So 10 inches is her own difference, because the bust circumference is 44 and the under bust circumference is 34. Okay, so just like you can see on the screen, it is well above average. So we can't apply the formula of subtracting the bust circumference from the under bust circumference, divide by 2 and placing here like so. Like in my previous tutorial, I said to get your dart, the bust circumference minus the under bust circumference, whatever you get, divide it by 2. For example, if the difference is 4, you divide 4 by 2. So 4 divided by 2 is 2 inches, right? So you place the 2 inches on this side and you place half of 2 on this side, which is 1. Or if the difference is like 3, you place 1.5 on this side and you can place 1 or half on this side. Okay, so that is it. But here we can't do that because the difference we have here is 10 inches. 10 divided by 2 is 5. You can mark out 5 here. You'll be cutting out a lot of fabric. So if you cut out 5 here and cut out 2.5 here, you'll be cutting out a lot of fabric. And remember that whatever you cut out here, you also have to still replace at the other side. So you have to fold your fabric so much. Okay, so we will not be doing that, and I won't be going too deep into explaining what you are to do, because you might end up getting confused. By the time I tell you divide by this, divide by this, divide by that, you might end up just getting confused. So I'll just tell you what to do. So I just go straight to the point. When you have a situation like this, when I've shown you the cup sizes that are average and the cup sizes that are above average. When you have the cup sizes that are above average, simply use 2 on this side, please, and 1 on this side. So you might be arguing, how can that work with the same measurement you use here that you use on small bust size? I will show you where we would augment that. Okay, I will show you where we would make up for what we are placing here. So use 2 on this side and 1 on this side whenever you come across the above average cup size. Okay, so now from our under bust, I'll mark 2 on this side. Okay, so you just mark it all the way to wherever your top is getting to. If it's getting to the hip, you mark it up to the hip. While on this side, I'll take 1 inch. Okay, I'll take 1 inch. Okay, so make sure you have 1 inch. So I have it there, 2 inches on this side and 1 inch on this side. Then I would connect. Okay, so like I said, I will show you where we would make up for what we are placing here. Now, having done this now, you come to this side. Mark 1 inch on this side and mark 1 inch on this side. Just mark. So I want us to take the both sides along at the same time. You mark 1 inch here. You come here, you mark 1 inch. Okay, so we have it there. So it is now time for our manipulation. When we are making our bustiers, we usually step down from the bust point by 1 inch, right? We usually do this, so I hope you can see this. You step down by 1 inch, and here you come up by 1 inch, right? Then you connect this to this point, you connect this to this point, and you also connect from this point to this point. But in this case, we are not using 1 inch. Because by the time you use 1 inch, you end up creating a small bust cup. Okay, so now when you have above average, what you will use is from 2 inches. Okay, so like in this case where I have the bust difference, that the bust and the under bust difference is 10, I'll be making use of 2.5. Now you have the right to make use of 1.5 depending on the bust depending on the difference. For example, if the difference is 5, okay, you can make use of 1.5 here. But in this case where I have 10 as the difference, that is the bust circumference minus under bust circumference is 10. What I will use here is 2.5 to create a cup that would accommodate the bust size. So I stepped down from my bust point, that is from the bust point, I came down by 2.5. I marked it. I will do same up here. From the bust point up here, I'll mark 2.5. So whatever you're marking here, also mark it on this side. Okay? Then it is time to connect. So now you connect from this point to this 2.5 you mark using a curve. So you just place it like so and you curve it. Okay, why this one? You just connect it. You don't have to make a curve here. Just connect this one and you have it here. So this is where I said we will augment for the dart we are reducing here. You can see we have extended this to be able to create a curve. Now on this side, connect this point. Remember we came out here by 1 inch, came out here by 1 inch. Just connect it to this 2.5 inches step up. Just connect like so and you connect like so. So now there's something I want you to note. Like I said, you can use from 1.5, 2 inches, 2.5, even 3, depending on the bust of the person. Okay, so by the time you have done this, you look at your cup and you will see if it can accommodate the bust of the person you measured. So we have not created a cup, we have just connected our points. Now we are going to curve because we are eliminating these sharp points. So what you will do, connect from this point to this point using your curve. So you just have to place it in such a way that it can connect. You can actually do this with your free hand. All you need to do is just create the cup, eliminating this point by connecting this to this point like so. So you just, take it gradually and you connect. Okay, so let me use my curve to smoothen it out or to just connect it. So you have to do this carefully. Okay, so just do this carefully and we have it there. So we have eliminated the sharp end. So let me just blend it well. Let me just connect it well. So I have it here. Okay, I've eliminated this sharp edge. So this is it. So looking at this cup now, you can see it is big enough to accommodate the bust of this person. Okay, you can see I have extended it. But if I had marked at 1 inch and connect, this is how it will go. You can see the space we have here. Okay, but what I've created now, I've created more room. I've created more room. So the same thing, if I had come down, the same thing. When I come down, I'll be creating more room. So I hope that is clear. So this is where we have augmented or we have made up for the dart here and creating a big cup that would accommodate the bust of the person. So we have created our dart. Now remember, one other problem that people have is at this point. You have to extend whatever you placed here, 1 inch on this side and 1 inch on this side. You have to extend it. Okay, so when you don't do this, that is where you have problem. By the time you join, if you start joining from here, by the time you get to this place, this side will be longer than this side. So whatever you have placed here, please replace it here. So I took 1 inch on this side, 1 inch on this side, that is 2 inches. So I'll have to extend it by 2 inches. Okay, then I'll just connect it. So you have to just extend it by that 2 inches and you just take it off. Then you also have to replace it here. Remember, by the time you cut it out and you join, it will be short from this side. So you have to replace the 2 inches on this side also. Then you mark it and you create a new armhole by connecting this point and this point. So this is now the new armhole. Okay, so you have it there. So this is it. So you can see the cup now, it is big enough. So this would take the bust of the person. So now we have done this, we would place our horizontal measurement. So but before placing the horizontal measurement, in order not to forget, always place your shoulder seam allowance. That is where you join the shoulder from the back and the back and the front, because if you don't place this allowance here, by the time you join, let's say you now take ½ inch from here, you see that you reduce your neckline, you reduce the armhole. So you always have to place that shoulder seam allowance ½ inch. Okay, so just from here, so that is from the neck width, I extended up by ½ inch, and from here ½ inch. Then I'll connect it. So this is my shoulder seam allowance for joining the blouse at the shoulder, and we'll have our neckline and our armhole remaining the same. Okay, so always do this. Now we'll place the horizontal measurement. At this point, we have placed the bust circumference, so that would work for this point too. That is the bust measurement. So now we'll go to the under bust. So the under bust circumference is 34. Okay, so divide by 4, that is 8.5. So I'll mark it 8.5. I'll first of all mark the 8.5. Then I will replace this dart. Remember, I'll have 2 inches here and 1 inch here. That is 3 inches. So I'll just extend it by 3 inches and I have it there. So the waist and the under bust is the same measurement. So whatever I mark here is what I would mark here, because it's the same measurement. So if yours is not the same, after marking the waist measurement, replace your dart. Okay, I have not added seam allowance yet. So 8.5 is the waist measurement plus the 3 inches dart replacement. We have it here. So now I would connect. I have not added seam allowance yet. So just connect from the bust. You just connect to the under bust like so. Then to the waist like so. Okay, so this is it. So now you can add whatever seam allowance you like. You can add from 1.5 to 2 inches. So it's always good to have extra. Okay, so let me use 1.5. That is always good to have excess than shortage. You can always trim out. So, and that is why I said you should fold your paper or your fabric by your biggest measurement divided by 4 plus 5 to 6 inches extra for your dart and for your seam allowance. So now I would connect the allowance. So I have it here. So I hope everything has been placed. So looking at this now, you can see what we have here. Okay, so this would well fit in. So you can just create whatever neckline of your choice. Okay, whatever neckline of your choice, you do that. So we have it here now. The next thing is to cut out. So I would cut it out and join it to show you exactly what it looks like. Okay. So you can see what we have here. Okay, you can see this. Isn't this beautiful? So you can see the cup of the person. So after doing this, always notch the bust point, please. Okay, so I will always advise this, be it on your fabric or your paper, always notch the bust point, because this will be a guide for you when you're joining. So you notch, you also notch this one. We just notch slightly and we'll have it here. So you can open it up now. So you see why you need to notch the bust point. On this side you don't have any mark, so that notch is what will guide you. Okay, so by the time you place it bust point to bust point, you now join every other part. So you can see this. So I have it here. Okay, now if you're making, let's say you want this to be an off shoulder blouse. So what you will do is just to cut out the shoulder part. Okay, what you do is to cut out the shoulder and create the type of neckline you want for your off shoulder, and you are good to go. If you want it to be a tube top, just the same thing you will do for the off shoulder, that is what you will do. The only difference is that the off shoulder will have sleeve. So by the time you have, before you even cut, or before you cut, you create the type of off shoulder you want. You just create it. Okay, so you just create it. Let's just use the chalk. So you create the type of off shoulder you want. That is before cutting it, when it was still together like this. Okay, so you can see you'll be eliminating the shoulder. You have the armhole. You have the armhole to join your off shoulder armhole, and to join your off shoulder sleeve. So you can see what I have here. I've created off shoulder neckline. Are you seeing it? And this is the armhole for the off shoulder blouse. So you eliminate this side. Or if you're making, let's say, a blouse with yoke, so by the time you cut out this side, you use this part to cut your yoke. Okay, if you're making a tube top, the same thing. All you need to do is just to eliminate this shoulder part. So you just create from this armhole part, you just cut out, and you have your tube top or your off shoulder blouse with sleeve. So that is just it. Okay, so the same thing you have here. So that's how it's just going to be. So now I will just try to join it so that you see what it looks like by the time you join it together. So I've always advised my students, whenever you're joining your bustier, make sure you make use of your pin. First of all, pin it down before going to stitch on your sewing machine. These fabrics have their own way of not wanting to cooperate. Okay, I'm talking from experience, but you make them cooperate, you make them bow when you use your office pin or when you use your sewing pin. Okay, that is your pin to hold it together. So that is why notching the bust point is very important. So you just match up the bust point like so. Match it up. By the time you have matched up the bust point, then you also come here, connect this one to where it's supposed to be, then you pin it down. Okay, so by the time you have pinned down the bust point and you pin this part also, what you will do is just start arranging it. Okay, you start arranging it and make sure you stitch by 1/2 inch. And when you're stitching, you just arrange. So you can see by the time I pin down the bust point, what I'll do is just start arranging it and pinning it down. So if you're doing this on your fabric, you'll find it easier, and you find it easy to place, because you can pull your fabric and make sure that everything is aligning. Okay, because some people have the issue of it not matching up after joining. One side will be longer than the other, and that is why I said to be on the safe side, always leave enough room, leave enough allowance. But if you have drafted very well, it would match up a little bit. Okay, so make sure that this bust point is there. So you pin it down on your fabric. Just place everything very well. You pin it. By the time you have pinned this upside, you also go down. You gradually start pinning. Just gradually you pin. Okay, so you can even hold it down here. You can hold it here, and you gradually, by the time you have pinned it here, you gradually align it. Just gradually align it. So this is paper. I'm being careful so it will not tear. So you just gradually align it. If you're working on your fabric, you see how easy you find it going. So you align. So as you're doing it, wherever you have any issues, you can move your pin and you place it well. Okay, so I'm just trying to pull it. Don't want the paper to tear at all. So I don't want the paper to tear, so that you can see what we have there. So you pin and you remove, you adjust, you keep adjusting, and you keep pinning. Okay, so make sure you're following 1/2 inch. Make sure you're stitching by 1/2 inch. Don't be tempted, because at this bust point when you're sewing, you might be tempted to shift. Just maintain that 1/2 inch. Okay, maintain the ½ inch. If you cannot eyeball it, you can mark it. So just keep going like so. So if this were to be a fabric, I would pull it to make sure that it matches up. I'll pull it to make sure that it aligns. So you can see what I have here. So, and this is what you actually face when you're sewing on your machine. You see the fabric. So if you're not careful, if you do not pin it, you end up after stitching, you have one side being too, one side being very longer than the other side. So I have it here. So you can see everything matches up. So I have some fold here. I have to release it and place it where. So just smoothing it. So I have it, you can see. So you can see what I have. Okay. So this is just paper. That is why it is a little bit. That is why it is sharp. That it's just paper. So if you turn to the other side, like after stitching, you see the way it will look. So I don't want the paper to tear. I'm just being careful. Not like I will use it, but just for your own sake, so that you can see it clearly. Okay. So this is paper, and you can see what I have here. So this is it. So there's no how this would not accommodate the bust of whoever you're making the bustier for. Okay, so I wouldn't want to just pin the other side. I would have done it. Okay, so that you just see how the whole thing would be. But with this, I believe you understand what we have done here. So you can see. Okay, so I hope this tutorial has been helpful to you. Please give it a thumbs up. Okay, just give it a like and share it with your friends. Use the share button. You can share it on Facebook, WhatsApp, Pinterest, Telegram, anywhere, so that others who are having the same issue can also learn. Okay, and if you're not yet subscribed, I don't even know what you're waiting for. Please subscribe. It is absolutely free. Yes, you don't have nothing to lose. Just hit on the subscribe button. It is for you to be part of this wonderful family and for you not to miss out on any videos that will be coming up. So you subscribe and you turn on the bell beside it. You see all notification. Click on that and you are good to go. So thank you so much for watching. I don't want to tell you goodbye because I want to see you in my next video. God bless you. See you in my next video.